English master teacher at Vedantu. And who are the students? Let me take the names of few of the students. Prajwal, Selena, Arnav, Vaishnav, Ankit, Harsh, Sandhu. Attitude guy, okay. इतना एटीट्यूड लेके कहाँ जाओगे? ओके, स्नेहा, खुशी, who else? Harsh. Okay guys, can you see me? Am I visible to you? Because I cannot see myself. Am I visible? Yes, now I think I am visible. So hello everyone, and welcome to today's amazing session once again, if you have missed that part. So let's see who all are here with us right now. Okay, so we have, okay, chats are running like bullet train. Keshav, Nishant, Abhijit, Vedan, okay, Vedan Khandelwal, very good. And Harsh, Arnav, Saqib, hello Poonam, hi Binit, what? Bennett, okay, Bennett, I'll call you Bennett. Hello Diksha. So hello and welcome to today's session. Okay, how many of you are from ICSE? People from ICSE, give me a high five. I think many of you are from other boards as well. So let's see. ICSE people, give me a high five first. CBSE people, give me a heart. And other boards, give me smiles. Come on. Okay, a very good afternoon, very good afternoon. Okay, so I see me. In this way, I cannot distinguish you. So that's why I told you, ICSE people, give me a high five. CBSE people, give me a heart. Other boards, give me a smile. Come on. Okay, so I can see heart, smiles and high five. Very good, very good. So I think we are all from different boards. So let's all enjoy the beauty of today's poem, that is Daffodils. Okay, so many people today. That's great, that's great. So all of you ready for today's amazing session? Are you guys excited? Show your excitement with, you know what, let's rock. So give me a quick let's rock in the chat box and let us quickly start with the session today. Okay, so thank you for the let's rock. So how many of you have gone through the poem Daffodils? How many of you have already gone through the poem Daffodils and you enjoyed the beauty of the poem? Come on, give me a high five, those who have gone through the poem. Okay, chalo, very good, let's rock. Thank you. किसने हाय सर बोला? कुसुम जी, मैं आपको दिख नहीं रही हूँ. आई एम नॉट सर. मेरा जेंडर चेंज मत करो. आई एम रियली हैप्पी विथ माई जेंडर. ओके, चलो, वेरी गुड. अरे, आई एम नॉट इग्नोरिंग यू जोहानन, आई एम नॉट इग्नोरिंग यू. So let's move ahead with today's amazing session. So guys, if you haven't still subscribed in Vedantu Pro subscription, so this is the time that you need to subscribe. The link is available in the description box. You need to use the coupon code SWRPRO. If you don't remember me, Shweta Roy. So Shweta Roy PRO Pro, ठीक है? So yes, that is your coupon code for Pro subscription, and the discount price is 2699. So if you apply this coupon code, you're definitely going to get this discount. Otherwise your price will be 4000. So many of you are old students, like many of you are actually from Vedantu, I can see. So the guys who are new over here, you can definitely take a feedback from the students who are there in Vedantu as well. So they will enlighten you about the wonderful experience that we have. So I want all of you to actually be a part of our Vedantu family. So these are the steps that you need to follow in order to be a part of our family. And yes, do share your love. So yes, step 1 is select grade, step 2 is select target, step 3 is get subscription, and step 4 is choose your plan, wherein you have to apply the coupon code SWRPRO. Right. Hi ma'am, पूछना क्या? पहचाना मुझे? Yes महक, yes, definitely. Okay, so we have these attractive features, and these features are really helpful to all of you, my lovely students. We have live interactive classes by India's best master teacher, personalized attention in class. And suppose you miss by chance one of the classes, then definitely you don't have to worry about anything, because we have full recordings of all classes. We'll be supplying that to you as well, with notes, assignment, tests, and much more. And we have complete curriculum which is in sync with your school curriculum. Apart from that, we have micro courses where you get at least 2 live classes for every chapter, for each chapter every month. And then when you need to revise your syllabus before your exam to make you exam ready, we also have our complete crash course. And the best part is you have the freedom to make your own study plan and curriculum. Apart from that, you also have test series, assignments, learning material, and regular performance report. So yes, do come, do join us in Vedantu family, and we are going to make you exam ready, and you are going to top the exam. So Hanji, Lahiri ji, tell me what is... Are, thank you Murugan. So yes, if you like the classes, then you know what to do. You need to hit the like button. So bacha log, those who are watching right now live, please do hit the like button. Don't forget that, okay? Kindly show your love by hitting the like button. Okay. Please start, Didi. Are bhai ji, Yuvraj ji, I'm starting. Okay. So Daffodils is a beautiful poem by the romantic poet William Wordsworth. Okay, so any other poem which you have read which deals with nature, as you know that romantic poem, so we will talk about romanticism in a nutshell before beginning with the actual poem, so as to make you acquainted little bit about the English literature as well, and the romantic movement of English literature, so that you can very well relate to the poem. So yes, discuss the title of the poem. Definitely I am discussing, I'm starting from the very title of the poem. So first tell me guys, when you actually read the title Daffodils, what comes in your mind? Yes, of course, flower comes in your mind, the daffodils flower. Apart from that, what else come in your mind? When you read the title Daffodils, when you imagine flowers, how do you feel? What is the feeling that, engulfs you, that encapsulates you? Come on, tell me. Yellow golden, okay. Who is Wordsworth? William Wordsworth. Yes, we will talk about the poet right now. So any other? Okay, yellow color, that's great. Nature, very good. Beauty of nature, fluttering and dancing. Are, thank you Mekla, thank you so much for your compliment. Beautiful scenery full of flowers, great. And so fragrance, very good. So I can see so many adjectives. And how do you feel when you actually imagine these wonderful flowers, if you visualize these wonderful flowers, or if you notice a flower blooming for that matter, what is the feeling that you get? Thank you Mehak, thank you so much. Beautiful. Okay, anything else? Hi Harsh, a flower can change your mood. Exactly, Star Horizon, very well answered. So how do flowers change our mood? Pleasant, yes, definitely. Amazing beauty of flowers, definitely. Okay, so I can see so many wonderful answers. So people are moved by the beauty of flowers. And yes, if you feel sad or depressed, you undergo some kind of depressive feeling, or some thought consumes you, definitely you can look at the blooming flowers and you will see how refreshed you feel. And so we will talk about the poet's feelings after seeing a host of golden daffodils. So let's see what the poem is all about, and I'll read the portions of poem. So please read the poem along with me too. So keep the poem along with you when we actually discuss the poem. Okay, so now, yes, William Wordsworth, we were talking about William Wordsworth. He was an English romantic poet. So now what is all about romanticism, that I will discuss right now with you. So for now, you just remember that he was an English romantic poet and his friend was Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So both of them were, poets belonging to the romantic era. And they both of them together helped to launch the romantic age in English literature. With what? With their joint publication, Lyrical Ballads. Now this Lyrical Ballads was published in 1798, and both Samuel Taylor Coleridge along with William Wordsworth. They together collaborated and wrote this lyrical ballads. This is an important information that you should know, being students of literature, right? So yes, Yuvraj ji, it's pronounced as poem. Okay, the pronunciation is like that. Okay, so now we have divided the session into two parts. Now this part deals with the analysis of the poem and important questions, and please do concentrate in the session, because after every topic that I explain, after every stanza that I explain, I have few questions for you. So I want all of you to answer those questions in the chat box right now. Okay, since we are live today, so definitely I am going to read out the answers that I get, the best answers that I get right now in the class. Okay, so do answer the questions, and in the next session we will have the Menti quiz. We will take up the doubts that you have in the doubt section. You just comment all your doubts. After the session I'm going to take up the doubts, and definitely in the next Menti session, first I will solve the doubts, and then we will get to know, we will see some of the MCQ questions, right? Okay, so now let's begin with a wonderful quote by William Wordsworth himself, and the quote says, "Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher." How is this quote? Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher. So how many of you believe that we get to learn a lot from the nature? How many of you believe that we get to learn a lot from nature? And thank you Arnav, thank you Arnav. Yes, subscribe. Yeah, if you subscribe to this channel, then definitely you will get the notification for all the subjects, not just my subject, for all the subjects. So definitely do subscribe to the channel. Good afternoon, dear. It's afternoon. Okay, so Kirtana says, I believe. Very good, very good. So yes, so Wordsworth believed that nature is the healer as well as your teacher. So now I'll again ask you one very simple question. What other nature poems have you read apart from this Daffodils? Any other nature poem which you remember, which you like, which is, you know, imprinted in your heart? Tell me, tell me. Hanji, Pro subscription is also same. If you subscribe to that, then you will get all the subjects. Okay, so not just for English, it's for all the subjects. So Pro subscription means you are becoming the part of Vedantu family. That means you get to know all the subjects. So don't worry. Heart of the Tree. Yes, that was, yes, we can say. The Caged Bird Sings, unfortunately, that is removed from the syllabus, but that's a wonderful and a fantastic poem. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Only I got two poems. A poem by Robert Louis Stevenson. Which is that poem? Please mention. The Roads. Yes, The Road Not Taken. Yes, amazing. Anything else? Lake Isle of Innisfree. Very good. Very good. Angel in Disguise. Okay. Okay. Echoing Green. Very good. Very good. So many wonderful poems. So yes, I would really appreciate if you go through these poems. Echoing Green, Lake Isle of Innisfree, Road Not Taken. These are amazing poems. So yes. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, another amazing poem. Dust of Snow. Yes, Dust of Snow is a simple but great, you know, a poem with a great message and a profound thought. Definitely. Okay. Very good. So I have seen a number of poems. That's amazing. So guys, please go through these few poems that I have mentioned today. That will be real fun and you will really enjoy those poems. And now we will talk about a little bit about romantic poetry. So what at all, you know, is romantic poem? So do not, when I say romanticism, do not confuse with the movies and the films that you watch. No, I'm not talking about that romantic, you know, that romanticism. I'm talking about romanticism, which was a movement in English literature. Okay, and that movement was from 1770s to the mid 19th century. And yes. Okay, so this was romantic poem and romantic movement, and as I told you that it began with the launch of that lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And let's see what are the main features of romanticism. Basically, romanticism was a movement which rebelled against the previous, age, literary age, which dealt with classicism. Okay, now what is classicism? Classicism mainly focused on the objective part, okay, that was very much unrelated to the human emotions, right? Now romanticism, the romantic movement, rebelled against this classical part, rebelled against this classicism, and they shifted towards the subjective emotions of man. And they also said revival to nature. That means they went back to nature. So nature being an important part in played an important part in the romantic poems that we are going to do today. Okay, so now we will see, as you can see, emotional and imaginative spontaneity. As Wordsworth wonderfully said that romanticism is what it is. Like poetry is spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So what is poetry? It is spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So it is collected, what is that? Recollected in tranquility. This is a wonderful quote and a very important quote by Wordsworth. Okay, what that poem is, it's a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, and which is recollected in tranquility. I'm not exactly quoting his words, but that is what, in a nutshell, that is what he said. Okay, so yes, spontaneity was given very much importance. So here he is talking about two contrasting things. If you see, overflow, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, but it is recollected in tranquility. So you can see over here the contrast that he creates, but that contrast is amazingly well put. Okay, and the importance of self-expression and individual feeling, that is another important feature. And definitely this was a response to nature. So nature played a major role in the romantic poetry. Okay, and it is looked as somewhat divine, as I told you in the quote as well. He mentions that nature is our teacher. So definitely nature is put on a higher pedestal sometimes. And we also see that an interest in romantic poetry shifted from the high class elite society to the outcasts, to the social outcasts, to the persons, to those objects which were people which were regarded as outcasts and were not included as the main subject of poetry. For example, beggars, tramps, etc. So these romantic people, the romantic poets actually started to speak for these people, and they wanted their poetry to reach out the mass, which was, as opposed to the classical period, which was only meant for the higher section, for the higher class of the people. So definitely romantics wanted to reach out to a greater mass of people. Therefore you will see that the romantic poetry that you are going to read always has, what to say, a very simple language, because they had a mass appeal. And they also have a visionary figure with an important role to play as a prophet. So now we will see who were the major romantic writers. First is William Wordsworth, as you can see from here, who's our poet here. So we will study a poem, we will read a wonderful poem by William Wordsworth. Other major romantic poets were Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who was the friend of William Wordsworth, and they together collaborated and published the first lyrical ballads. Okay, and then we have William Blake. Basically William Blake was regarded as a pre-romantic, but we can consider him in a romantic period as well. Then we have Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley. I don't know whether you have read any poem by Shelley, and many of you confuse Shelley with, being a female. Shelley was not a female, he was a male. So Shelley is he, not she. Don't get confused over here. Okay, and we have John Keats. And the four major romantic poets who are known as the pillar of romanticism are Wordsworth, Byron, Shelley and Keats. Okay, these are the four major romantic poets regarded as the pillars of romanticism: Wordsworth, Byron, Shelley, Keats. Right? Okay, so let's move ahead with the poem, and now I'm going to read. Yes, dear Asif Ahmed Sheikh, I do remember you. Hello Priya, hi Sujarita, Hi Arnav, hello Matthew. And yes, Ranjit, hello. Pranjal, Technical Rehan, Paras, Sanjay. Yes, Sanket, this is from ICSE, but definitely you can enjoy this poem. So poem does not need to be, divided. It does not need the division of board. Even if you are from other boards or CBSE, you can definitely have a look at this wonderful poem that will really, really enhance your knowledge. And you can relate it, you can refer back to this wonderful poem in your own poem that you have in the syllabus of CBSE, because that will definitely fetch you more marks if you refer to other poems. So cross reference in your board exam will fetch you definitely an extra point, right? So let's see. क्या आप जानते हो? ले लिया आपका नाम तो आपने बोला ही नहीं है. हाउ एम आई गोइंग टू से? आपने लिखा है क्या आप जानते हो. नहीं, मैं नहीं जानती. सो प्लीज टेल मी योर नेम. सो लेट मी रीड आउट द वेरी फर्स्ट स्टांजा. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er the vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So yes, please look at the first stanza very carefully. I have questions coming up, so please pay attention, okay? So the poet here talks about being aimless. So he is wandering as lonely as a cloud. So you can see which figure of speech over here? Simile. So the poet wandering lonely is compared to the clouds who wander in the sky lonely, right? Aimlessly. So the poet was also traveling aimlessly just as the clouds, okay? And at that time, what did he see? He encountered a host of golden daffodils. And where did he encounter the host of golden daffodils? That was beside the lake and beneath the trees. Okay, under the trees and beneath the lakes. What were the daffodils doing? The daffodils were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So this was the pleasant side, this was the happy side that the poet saw when he was wandering as a traveler. He was traveling aimlessly, and his traveling aimlessly is compared with the lonely clouds who wander in the sky aimlessly. So there the poet has used the figure of speech simile. Okay. Yes, Gajanan ji, personification is also here. Yes, the flowers fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Very good. Thank you for your input. The flowers fluttering and dancing in the breeze. The flowers are personified over here because the flowers are given human qualities, right? So flowers cannot flutter and dance, but yes, here they are attributed human qualities, and therefore that is personification. Very good. Question for you. As I told you, be very attentive in the session because I'm going to ask you questions. Who does the poet come across while wandering? Chalo, jaldi. Okay, Prakriti is asking me Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats and Byron. B-Y-R-O-N. These are the four romantic, four pillars of romanticism. Who does the poet come across? Very good. It's not just daffodils. You have to mention that. sorry. He came across a host of golden daffodils. Okay, so that is the answer. That is the mistake that the students do, and they lose out their marks. Try to be as much detailed as possible, even if it is for 1 mark, but try to give in all the points that are necessary. Definitely that is going to fetch you 1 out of 1. If you just write daffodils, that will fetch you half a mark. Okay, so please be as detailed as possible. Yes, the host of golden daffodils near a lake under the trees. Thank you, Alisha. Thank you. Your name is Alishba. Sorry, Alishba. Very well done. Now next question is, where were the daffodils and what were they doing? Where were the daffodils? What were they doing? Okay, so gaming, Snixer Gaming is saying daffodils were beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Amazing. So I have got the answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's move ahead with the second stanza. So let me read out the second stanza to you all. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 I saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So over here, again he's using the figure of speech simile, because the daffodils are, compared with the stars, as you can see in the picture as well, right? So the daffodils were, constant, continuous as the stars in the sky, right? That twinkle on the Milky Way. Okay, and the daffodils were, what else they were doing? They were stretched in never-ending line. So there were so many all together in never-ending line. And where were they? Along the margin of a bay. And then another important figure of speech that the poet has used over here is hyperbole. Hyperbole. Now what is hyperbole? When you actually exaggerate. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So the poet is not actually counting that he's seeing 10,000 daffodils at a glance. He's just exaggerating. Maybe they were not 10,000, maybe they were just hundreds or 500 or somewhat like that, but not 10,000. But he is exaggerating. He is using hyperbole over here when he says 10,000 I saw at a glance, right? And what were they doing? They were tossing their heads. So when the breeze was blowing, they were tossing their heads, and it seemed as if they were dancing, right? Done? Clear? Thank you, Sanket. Thank you. Okay. So now the question that is there is, what is being compared to the stars and what? What is being compared to the stars? Chalo, come on, give me. Daffodils. Definitely the host of golden daffodils, which were, stretched at a bay in a never-ending line, is being compared to the stars that twinkle and shine on the Milky Way. And why? This is how you're going to give the answer. So that I just told you a sample answer. You have to give your answer in this manner, in this detail, so as to get, so that the teacher does not have any chance of deducting the marks. Okay? And why do you think are they compared to the stars? Tell me. They were shining. Okay, anything else? Because they were constant and they were in a never-ending line, stretched in a never-ending line, right? And just as the stars, which are constant, they never change, right? So similarly, the daffodils seemed constant, stretched in a never-ending line. Very good, very good. Yes. So moving ahead with the vocabulary part. So if you think that you do not know a particular word, so kindly look at the vocabulary. Wonder, W-A-N-D-E-R. Remember, it's not W-O-N-D-E-R. W-O-N-D-E-R means, surprise, awe, etc. But here, wonder, W-A-N-D-E-R, is, to move about, right? And vale, it's a valley. Host. Here host will mean host, huge number of daffodils. Usually host is a person who guests, who invites guests, but here a host of golden daffodils does not mean a person who invites guests. It means, together. Okay, a host of golden daffodils, which means together, a lot. Okay, and flutter is, flapping movement. So it was fluttering and dancing because it was swinging itself in the breeze. And margin over here is, that boundary is known as margin. Okay. Are Smita, what is the meaning of fluttering? Yes, fluttering is swaying from one side to another. I'm not ignoring you, dear. Yes, dear Sanket, it's a figure of speech. Okay, stanza 3. Let's move ahead with stanza 3. And stanza 3 says, the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Okay, so the waves in the way, the waves beside them, so they were having this waves, the waves at the bay was dancing. But what is the poet says, that as if there was a competition between the flowers swinging and dancing with the breeze and the wave swinging and dancing because of the breeze. Both of them were swinging and dancing because of the breeze that was blowing. And the poet says that as compared to the dance of the waves, the daffodils dance like the daffodils outdid the dance of the waves. So definitely, who won the competition between the two? It was the daffodils who won the competition of dancing when breeze was blowing. Okay, and the poet says that the poet was constantly gazing. This show, the dance show of the daffodils actually brought him a great pleasure, and he could not stop himself from constantly gazing at the beautiful golden daffodils which were swinging and tossing their heads at the music of the breeze, right? And that show was actually it brought great wealth. Now wealth as in prosperity. So the show brought in so much pleasure to the poet that it is compared to some wealth, right? So at that time he did not think much about the wealth. Okay, so he says what wealth the show had brought. So that brought him a great wealth, great prosperity. So the poet says as if he was rich, he became rich when he actually witnessed the dance, the beautiful dance of the host of golden daffodils. Yes, glee means happiness. Exactly, Alishba. Okay. So question for you, which wealth is referred to by the poet? Come on. Hanji Prakriti, glee means happiness. Which wealth is referred to in the poem? Come on, come on. Which wealth? Which wealth is being talked about? Just now I explained you. Hello, Mr. Grover. Natural wealth. Yes, please elaborate on the fact. Which natural wealth? Wealth is equal to pleasure for poet. Amazing. And how did he derive that pleasure? What made him feel the pleasure? Come on. Happiness from where? By looking at the daffodils, happily outwitting the waves in the dance show when it was actually dancing along with the breeze, right? So that show brought him the wealth, and that wealth was actually happiness. So that is the wealth that is being referred to by the poet. And whom did the daffodils outdo and how? This is again a very easy question. Hi Parveen, this is your first class. I hope to see you again in the next classes. Dancing daffodils. Yes, very good. So whom did the daffodils outdo? Whom did the daffodils outdo? Waves. Very good, very good. Breeze. Yes, okay. No, the daffodils outdid the waves. Okay, see over here, outdid the sparkling waves. So the sparkling waves, the waves at near the bay, they were also sparkling, right? But the daffodils outdid them happily. Okay, now many of you were asking for the word meaning, so here you go with the word meanings. Bay means this an indentation of a shoreline. Okay, and glance means taking a brief look. Glee is happy or merriment. Jocund is full of showing high spirited merriment. And there was a word gay, which one of you asked. Gay means also happy. Over here it means happy. And gaze is a long fixed look, right? Okay, so moving ahead. So now I think you have no problem with the words, right? Yes, Alishba. Outdo means performing better than the others. Very good. Now we move on to stanza 4. Hello, Hebsiba. Hi, Hebsiba. This is your first class, and next stanza, that is stanza 4, which is the last stanza and the most important stanza. And this questions actually come from this stanza, oft quoted lines from this stanza. Okay. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Okay, so here he says that whenever the poet, so he had seen this, he had witnessed this scene when he was wandering, and after some times, when even though the sight is no more there at present, when he is actually lying on his couch, okay, in thoughtful or in pensive mood, in vacant or in pensive mood. So either his even if his mood is vacant, that is empty, even if his mind is not having any thoughts, or even when his mind is filled with thoughts. Pensive means filled with deep thoughts. Okay, so even when he is in vacant mood or in pensive mood, the host of golden daffodils, the scene where he had encountered these host of golden daffodils, continuously flash upon his inward eye. That means inward eye means what? His inner eye, that is his mind. It is constantly there hovering in his mind. Okay, which is the bliss of solitude. Now this bliss of solitude is very, very, very important, and it is an oft repeated question in your exam. Okay, so what is this bliss of solitude? The daffodils, which has become an everlasting memory for the poet whenever he is lonely. So whenever he feels lonely, he just goes back and recollects that memory where he had encountered the host of golden daffodils, and he was, he was so engrossed, and he was completely taken by that wonderful picture, right? So that is why he calls it, that is a bliss of solitude. Even when he is in solitary condition, he is lonely, he never feels lonely, because he thinks that he is still in the company of those golden flowers, and that makes his staying alone a bliss. A bliss is a blessing. So what makes his loneliness a blessing? The memory, the everlasting memory, which is imprinted in his mind forever. The memory of the beautiful golden flowers. Okay. So whenever he sees, he imagines, he tries to visualize the beautiful flowers, his heart fills with pleasure, and he also dances. See, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Yes, bliss means blessing. Okay, bliss means blessing. Solitude means loneliness, dear. Okay, so that is the poem. So whenever he actually recollects, he reminisces those wonderful moments spent in the company of the host of golden daffodils, thousands of golden daffodils, he actually is again and again filled with pleasure. So this host of golden daffodils is not only giving him pleasure only when he is among those flowers, but even when he is away from those flowers, the picture, the memory, that again gives him pleasure. So it becomes a source of pleasure forever. Okay, so nobody can wipe away that pleasure that the host of golden daffodils give him constantly. So did you enjoy the poem? Yes or no? What happens to the poet when he is sometimes in a pensive mood? Come on, guys. Hi, Abhishikta. So please do answer this. What is merriment? Merriment means enjoyment. Thank you, Sushila. Okay, tell me what happens to the poet when he is sometimes in a pensive mood. Come on. He thinks about the daffodils. Arnav is correct. Kumar is also correct. Very good. Both of you have answered the correct answer. Very good. And what is the bliss of solitude referred to here? As I told you, this is the most important question. So please tell me. Please tell me when the poet is in... Okay, Snixa Gaming has an answer for us. When the poet is in pensive mood, the thought of encountering and the sight of the golden daffodils flashes in his eyes. Very good. Very well answered. Very well answered. Arey, thank you, Anjali. Thank you so much. Hanji, Ayushi, taken your name. Okay, so yes, so you have answered this poem. So many of you were asking me for word meaning. So here you go again. Vacant means empty, without an occupant. Pensive, as I told you, thoughtful. Bliss is a state of extreme happiness. Blessing, as I told you. And solitude is isolation, loneliness, solitariness. Okay, that is solitude. Yes. Now we come to the literary devices. Already when I was explaining you the poem, I talked about few literary devices. So let's fill up the gaps wherever I missed some literary devices. I'm going to talk about the literary devices here. So please look at the literary devices. They are very important, and when you write your answers, you can mention the literary devices in your answer. That will definitely fetch you more marks. Okay. So simile, as I told you, I wandered as lonely as a cloud. I explained you this. And continuous as the stars. Both of the similes that is there in the poem, I have explained you. So moving ahead with personification, you yourself have come up with the personification example. When you saw, when I all at once I saw a crowd. So again, here we have the daffodils being personified. Daffodils is constantly personified when they are saying, dancing in the breeze, tossing their heads, right? And so these are the examples of personification. Thank you, Rabul. Thank you so much. Rabiul, right? Thank you so much. Then we have alliteration. Now I missed this alliteration, so kindly look at the alliteration part. Gazed and gazed. So G, the repetitive sound of consonant sound G, G. Gazed and gazed. And then we have what wealth the show to me had brought. Again, W. The consonant sound W is being repeated. So that is alliteration. Then we have assonance. What is assonance? Here we have 10,000 I saw at a glance. So A, saw at 1,000, saw at a glance. So A sound, the vowel A sound is repeated. The vowel sound of A is repeated. And again E sound in they, stretched in, never ending. So E is repeated. So there you have assonance. Then we have consonance. Now what is consonance? Opposite of assonance. Assonance you have repetition of consonant sound. Consonance you have repetition of vowel sound. Now you will tell me then, ma'am, what is alliteration? Alliteration is again repetition of consonant sound, but that is in the beginning of the syllable. But consonant can happen anywhere in the syllable, not necessarily in the beginning. So here you can see that T, what wealth the show to me had brought. So the consonant sound T is repeated, that is consonance. W, you can see W is repeated in the initial syllable, so that is alliteration. But T over here is repeated, it's not happening in the initial syllable, so that is consonance. And N sound in vacant or pensive, again it is happening in the middle, so there you have as consonance. I hope assonance, consonance is clear now. Assonance, alliteration, consonance. These all are, dealing with sound. Okay. So do not be confused. Alliteration is consonant sound. Repetition will be at the beginning of the syllabus. Assonance is vowel sound. Repetition can occur anywhere. Consonance is consonant sound. Repetition can occur anywhere. Okay. Okay, so moving ahead with imagery. Now imagery is what when you can actually visualize, right? So when you say the poet was wandering as lonely as a cloud, you can almost visualize the image of a cloud wandering lonely in the sky, right? Then we say, in a never-ending line, it was spreading in a never-ending line. So you can almost visualize the daffodils spreading in a never-ending line. Then Milky Way, you can almost visualize the stars in the Milky Way, right? So these are some of the examples of imagery. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. Yes or no? Yes or no? Acha, Gajanand is asking, why does the poet compare the dance of daffodils to that of the waves? So he is basically trying to elaborate or emphasize upon the beauty of the dance. So by actually he's comparing that to the dance of the waves to to enhance the beauty of the dance of daffodils. Okay, because the daffodils, he's saying, outdid the waves. So if you compare with someone, you are actually adding on to the beauty of the daffodils, and you are enhancing the beauty of the daffodils. Thank you for that question. What is your day live? Okay guys, so please do subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss out any notification, because Padma is asking me what is your live time daily. So for that you need to subscribe, right? Almost 1 PM every day. But there are changes here and there, right? But yes, do subscribe to the channel, and bachcha log, please hit the like button. Kanjusi mat karo. It takes nothing actually to hit the like button. So yes, do hit the like button and do subscribe. We'll see you again in the next class. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. And before we go, please do comment on what you have learned from this lesson, this poem. What is your take on this poem? I would really love to read out your take on this poem before we move ahead with the Menti session. So do comment in the comment section about your take on this beautiful poem. So take care guys. Are Ashu, I have taken your name. Bye bye. Take care. See you again.